It's my 2004 Ford F-250 gas Triton V10 up there. Just got it about 1 week ago on November the 10th, 2018. Pretty much stock for the most part. Still got the original wheels, original wiring boards. All that old man owned, so pretty well taken care of. So it's got these nice tow mirrors. This one's Lariat package, so has the full leather interior and everything. Pretty nice, not too beat up. Obviously some wear in the usual spots on the driver's side, but nothing too extreme. All the electronics work how they should. A little bit of storage space on the door. E-brake works, unlike my Hummer H2, the last thing I owned, where e-brake broke the second that I drove it off the lot. Just got the steering wheel cover for it. I will say these older Fords, their steering wheel kind of thin, and then this big bulky center almost looks like it's upside down. Almost feels like you have a football in the middle of your steering wheel. So definitely, if you get one of these older Fords, I'd want to get a steering wheel cover, especially in the colder months where it's kind of cold and slick around the outside of these steering wheels. So you want something nice to grab onto. Factory radio, like I said, old man owned, so for the most part everything should be just about the same as it was when it rolled out of the factory. The center console, a little bit of room in here, plate that I got to put on there, CVC stuff for work. This is the one that this rolls up, and this is a middle seat. Don't really have much use for that, so we just leave it down. That has something to do with the towing, I think, like brake lights or something on your whatever you're pulling, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't really plan on pulling with this thing. I just got it because it was got it for a good price, good miles, good value, especially with that big engine in there. Glove box. It's all the original paperwork, warranty information, and books, all that good stuff. Probably gonna get a one of those visor organizers up here. That gauge up there shows your MPG and a couple other things. I'm getting about 9 miles a gallon right now, but it's been all city driving, so I could probably get that up to about 11 or 12 once I start driving kind of normally around here. But yeah, you're pretty short commute every day, so mileage is pretty bad at the moment. Not too big of a concern for mine. It's a big engine, 10-cylinder, so wasn't expecting very good mileage. A couple spots for cigarette lighter outlets right here. Got one right there, and then one down here. These pop out. These are cup holders as well. This thing's kind of blocking it. I don't really need it when this thing's down. These are nice and they're wide, and they're nice and deep, so they'll be tight. I've gone around corners pretty fast, and nothing really flies out of there. Thank God. Alright, so pretty basic back seat. More cup holders. This isn't usually how I have it configured. I just put it like this for the video. Most part, best thing that I think these things come with right here is this right here. So you got more room inside to put tools or whatever you got. I usually put my rucksack there for work. Actually, I usually keep this in there too. This grill box, that was for my Hummer. I usually keep that in there too. just with emergency equipment and whatever. Usually leave that seat over there down, just in case I'm going with somebody. But yeah, definitely a great feature. Nothing really slides on this either. It's nice material, so nothing should be sliding around too much on it. Around back. A couple little rust spots. These are really the main cosmetic problems here. And this might go through. I'm not sure. Sometimes it looks like, yeah. Sometimes it kind of looks like it goes through. But I don't know if you can see that. 4x4. One to the back. No real dents back here. I think these are parking sensors, but I haven't heard anything inside when I'm backing up. So nothing too fancy. Standard size bed. It's about, what is it? 6 foot 9 inches, something like that. I'm not sure. Big enough for me. Like I said, this isn't really a work truck. Just wanted to pick up just in case I needed it for any reason. There's the other seat. Nothing real special about this one. That also has this little flip out metal thing. Usually to keep that out, keep that seat down, so I can set some additional stuff, usually my lunchbox or whatever for work. And I put my gorilla box and my rucksack on top of that over there. But good amount of space in here, and good amount of room in the back seat if you're sitting in there. Passenger side, nothing real special. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, all power controls on the seats. Those all work. My Hummer, the passenger seat wouldn't move back. So my wife was in here. It was like her knees were up here in the dash and we really had no way to move it back. But other than that, these seats are in a little bit better condition than the driver's side. Of course, that's usually how it goes. It's less satin. Yeah, not much other than that. There's quite a bit of things I want to do with it eventually. I know a lot of people like to tune the engine. I think it's 5-star tuning is the one that does it. This big V10, you can get a lot more out of it than what comes out of the factory. But I think the specs on it are 310 horsepower, 425 pound-foot of torque, something like that. I'm not positive. Definitely responsive. It's the most responsive big vehicle that I've owned. It's actually the third straight 2004 model vehicle that I've owned. I had a 2004 Nissan Armada off-road package. That was kind of a big beefy SUV. Actually, I got better mileage in that than I do in this, and that one got about 12. So I had that for a couple years. Then when I got here on station, I got a Hummer H2 2004. That one was falling apart and just wasn't that good of a vehicle. Cosmetically it was falling apart, and mechanically it was falling apart, so just got rid of it. And I went with this because it's a one-owner truck. It's got 101,000 miles, and for being a 14-year-old truck, that's pretty good. What I was told is that the first owner mainly just used it. He owned it for 12 years, and he used it to pull his fifth wheel on the weekends when he would go camping. He was a retired guy. And then the last guy that had it, he would just use it to drive to the job site and back. So it's not very, it hasn't been ridden very hard. I mean, when it's pulling a fifth wheel, obviously it's ridden pretty hard, but for the most part, a lot of highway miles. And for 100,000 miles, 14 years old, 4x4, which is hard to come by. And I went with this over the, I really wanted it more than the 6.0 Power Stroke, because obviously those have problems unless they've been bulletproofed with the EGR delete. Those aren't really worth getting into, especially at my price range and not being anywhere near my family at this point. Just have me and my wife here. I don't know nothing about diesels, and it would be irresponsible for me to get into them. I wanted this over the 5.4 liter V8 because that's the same engine that's in the F-150, and I think that's, you know, in my opinion, that's underpowered for a 3/4 ton truck. So Triton V10, you see a lot of them kicking. You see a lot of excursions with the V10, and those will go, you know, usually when you see those on Craigslist and stuff, those things have well over 260,000 miles. These engines are, you know, at least said to be able to go for 300,000 or 400,000 miles if you take good care of them. And so 100,000 is barely breaking this bad boy in. So I'm hoping that I have a truck for a long time. Definitely gonna sink some money into some aftermarket stuff, like a new grill, new headlights, maybe one of those bed liner paint jobs along this silver trim down here, so I could just, or maybe just do a paint match blue all the way down. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, that stuff's all kind of long term. It's the first 4x4 that I've owned that I've had to use the hubs on it. So that was kind of new for me when it snowed here last week. I'm glad I got it because my wife's car is back there. That's a 2013 Hyundai Elantra, and obviously that being a rear-wheel drive sedan isn't going to be great in the snow. So there's some ice out on the road, so I want to take this for a spin and how to get out, lock the hubs, and feels like it hasn't been used in 4x4 in a while. Felt like I was knocking the rust off of it a little bit. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience. I mean, it's kind of cool to really feel your 4x4 engage like that when you have to get out of the vehicle and, you know, turn those hubs to lock it into place. So far, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I've only owned it a week, so haven't even really broken it in yet or driven it too far. Just got it registered here in Oklahoma. I wanted to get it registered in my home state of Oregon, but that would have taken a while to work with the DMV in my hometown. Would have probably had to park this guy for 2 or 3 weeks in order to get all the paperwork and everything that I need to get. So that's basically about it. I don't know, if I throw this up on YouTube, I'd like, you know, maybe I might do update videos on stuff that I do to it. Like I said, a new grill is what I would like. New headlights, maybe one of those visors up here, the bug shield or whatever that goes on top of the grill. The windows need a tint, I think. Like, you can see right here on the driver's side, you can just see straight through that thing. If I was picking my nose, anybody could see it at a stoplight. No privacy. So the back glass is a little tinted, but the front glass definitely needs to be. And with the visibility, like, you know, you're seeing these windows over here, how they dip down right there. That allows for really, really good visibility. You can see the road really well out of this big, tall windshield with these big ass tow mirrors. These are really good for seeing what's behind you, and it's a good rear view mirror back there too. Yeah, it's big, but the size takes a little bit of getting used to, only because I've never owned a pickup. Like I said, I had 2 giant SUVs before this, but they weren't like as long or as hard to turn as this. But they also weren't as strong. They didn't have that strong of an engine. You know, they didn't have that kind of visibility. Because like I said, I came from a Hummer H2 where the windshield in that thing is like this tall in comparison, and it's straight up. And then the windows, you can't see out of them like that narrow. And I love the looks of the Hummer, and I definitely think that, you know, you kind of pay the price for having it look good. But yeah, that was when I got behind the wheel of this, the contrast from an H2 to a F-250 like this, it's well taken care of. Because I had a H2 that was just beaten to shit. It had 148,000 miles, and it was ridden hard by, I think it had 6 owners. It was ridden hard by all 6 of them. I think it was even a fleet vehicle at one point, like for a rental company or something. And if you ever rented a car, I mean, you know best. They're not treated well, even by us, honestly. So yeah, it's a big contrast, big strong engine, great visibility, nice size. Feels great out on the highway. Feels like an absolute dream on the highway.